it's my job to provide some closing remarks for our conference. So a lot of that's going to be thank yous. But in sort of trying to sum up what we've done, we've had a wonderful couple of days, I think. I thought I knew a little bit about infectious disease epidemiology before I came here. And if anything, I think the conference has made me aware just how complex animal health is. It sits, from our point of view, at the center of a highly connected, multi-dimensional biological ecosystem. And that is added to by a whole range of behavioral, societal, and economic context and dimensions. So you could, and I might, go away from here feeling rather daunted, and actually that there isn't a lot of point in carrying on. However, I actually don't feel that. I feel much more positive. And I think as much as anything, from the speakers this morning and from yesterday, I'm struck by a number of paradoxes that we have to work with. One of those is about this complexity that we can't deny exists, and yet this absolute need to communicate clearly and, if possible, simply. And I find myself in a bit of a conundrum about that, because I'm very frustrated with particularly the social media bite-sized remarks. And we saw the bad effects of that in Sheila's presentation yesterday, with sort of one-dimensional thinking, one-dimensional reporting, and in a sense, sort of an almost irresponsible call for intervention in a way that is more than likely to have unintended consequences. So I think we're sort of living in a world that which is paradoxically increasingly recognizing the complexity, but seeking to be ever more simplistic about it. The other thing I think is really running through all of the things we do here is related to that is on generalization. So a lot of what Dominic talked about this morning was very global and very generalized, which contrasted sharply, I thought, with what Christos was saying about the context and the cultural aspects, and sort of almost a bespokeness. And then Vittoria at the end there was talking about this massive amount of data, but the need and the expediency in generalizing that as much as possible. And of course, a lot of what we do and a lot of the center of what epidemiologists do is reductionist. It's generalize. It's find a simple rule or a simple line through the points, at least in the way we understand the natural science part of it. And Andrew said yesterday, modeling breaks down silos. And I think that might be true in the sense of the sort of biological causation that we're really talking about. And I think ultimately as epidemiologists, what we're really desperately trying to do is understand causation, the infectious disease causation, at the ecosystem level. And by that I mean all the behavioral and societal effects that drive things, as well as the biological aspects of that. But for me, that's always been elusive, and it remains as elusive as ever. But that doesn't mean we can't do anything about it. And I think one of the things that I'm conscious about in terms of a third paradox is that of research and policy. We talked a lot about it yesterday, and we talked about the link-up. And we talked about different kinds of research. So we talked about blue sky research, curiosity-driven, and I thought the question about hypotheses was quite interesting. So I wanted to qualify that and say, well, I need to be very careful about those hypotheses being biologically plausible and relevant, which is true if I'm going to be informing Sheila about what to do next week, but might not be the right thing to do from a research point of view, because you should break out of the paradigms to explore the unthinkable. And I think that's one of the great things about Epic, is that we can do that. We have that range. And because of the great relationship that we have with the Scottish Government, they know that we're researchers and need to do research of that kind. And we know that they need research sometimes very quickly, which means we have to be expedient, we have to execute, and that means that it is going to be bespoke, it is going to be context specific, and it might not be that accurate. So sort of a kind of take-home message for that then, I think what we have in Epic is an interdisciplinary collaboration. We might argue, and we might well change the balance of the disciplines we have in there. It isn't pan-disciplinary, and I don't think being interdisciplinary compels you to be pan-disciplinary. That would be a gimmicky thing to try and do, right? So I think we try to combine the disciplines within the parameters that we have and the limitations that we have to provide that sort of useful integrated advice that hopefully avoids as many of the unintended consequences as we can anticipate. And going forward, I'm not going to be complacent enough to say, it isn't broken, let's not fix it. But I think the right building blocks are there, and I think we seek always to refine what we have and what we do. So I think I'm convinced that we're on the right track, and we're continuing forward with that approach. So on that note, it's very important that I acknowledge all of you, because all of your input helps us keep refining the model, refining the expertise, refining the way we think, refining the way we do things. So I'm enormously grateful to you coming and attending and contributing all your comments, remarks, discussion, friendliness. I'm going to forewarn you that we will be doing a feedback questionnaire that you will get electronically, and we genuinely do really value your comments and feedback on the conference. All being well, in the budget uncertainty that looms, we should have budget in the last year of the current round of funding for another conference sometime in 2021. We haven't yet quite decided where and when that'll be, but we would like to invite you to come back, and we hope that you'll join us when we do that. So it remains really then for me to thank a number of people. We've had wonderful invited guests, so Marie Goujon, Andrew Miller, Sheila Vose, Charlie Adam. Panelists, Sarah O'Brien, Hans Howe, Fiona Burnett, Deb Roberts, Bob Ferrier, and then this morning our challengers, Christos, Dominic and Vittoria. Thank you all very much for a huge contribution to the conference. You've made it very stimulating. And I've had lots of informal feedback from people saying how much they've enjoyed it. So thank you very much for your contribution to our conference. Those of you who know me, and even if you don't, you won't be at all surprised to know that none of this would have happened had it been left to me to do it. So there's a lot of people that I have to thank, and I haven't got any presents for any of them because I'm a mean sod. I will, at some point, find presents for them. So the people who've organised the conference and made it happen are Jane Grant, who is Epic's project manager, Kim Jones, and Katrina Clark. They, along with Ian Hutchinson and Julie Sterling, have really been the driving force that have organised everything here, and they deserve your thanks as well. May Fujiwara and Lisa Bowden have really been the people. This conference is Lisa's concept. So Lisa thought it out, planned it, and most of you have corresponded with Lisa. So it's definitely Lisa's brainchild, and she's been very ably helped with May to make this such a success. So well done, Lisa. And May. We also have inveigled ensnared 2 students to be helpers and scribes, and I'm very grateful to Hannah and to Femke, who are sitting over there. Most of you have met them at the reception desk. So thank you very much for your contribution. And almost finally, I'm very grateful to Ian Murdoch and colleagues in Scottish Government for briefing and preparing the Minister for her star turn yesterday. That was wonderful, so thank you very much for doing that. And many of you have seen Michelle Wilson going around taking pictures of the conference. These pictures will be very, very useful for us to go on our website and so on. So I'm very grateful to Michelle from, I can't see where she is just now, from Safari Gateway for agreeing to do that for us. It's very helpful. Thank you. So very much last, many thanks to the Edinburgh conference staff here, Edinburgh First, and to Turkey Red Media, who've been doing the filming for us. Thank you very much for your support, and the outputs of their efforts will again appear on our website, so you'll be able to watch some of this and tell all your friends to watch it too. With that, there's nothing left for me to say, and I won't keep you anymore. There will be some lunch. Please enjoy that. Have a very safe trip home, and we look forward to seeing you again soon. Thank you.